hottest station is now live for your enjoyment with host iamBranded.
What's good? What's good? Nexxlegacy fam. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ladies' Night. I am your host, and I adore, and my amazing co-host, iamBranded, is on the line. We have a really special guest for you tonight. We have the lovely Doctor Janelle that is on the line, and she's going to be talking to us about breast cancer awareness. Everybody knows that, or you guys should know, this month is the month for breast cancer awareness, and so she will be telling us, what we can do, to prevent it, and, how we can make it known that this is something that's a serious disease, nothing to play with. So, ladies, make sure y'all get shots. I am Brandon.
Absolutely. I am here, and I am glad that you were here, Miss Denia. We definitely want to shout out Miss Baby Girl, who's actually taking care of, school business, family business, and the whole deal. So, ladies' night salute to Baby Girl from the 813. We holding it down for you. And like Denia said, tonight is not just breast cancer awareness, but also I think it's definitely a good opportunity to be able to have a good doctor to call in and talk about not just, things that the ladies out there could be able to pay attention to, not just health-wise, but also on the physical, but also on the emotional and mental aspect of trying to help strengthen women out on all things. And without further ado, we will put Miss Dr. Janelle in the house tonight on Ladies Night Radio. My queen.
Hello. How you doing?
Beautiful.
Good. That's good to hear. Hey, sweetie, how you doing today? I'm good. How are you? I am doing awesome. I'm actually washing clothes and drying them as we speak. Doing what I do. This is the only time of the day I get to where I'm so busy the rest of the day, so
right.
I snuck it in tonight.
And
so
you know
how's
what?
Everything? What?
I completely appreciate, like we kind of said off the air, but I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us once again, and I am definitely appreciative, and happy Ladies Night to you. So the people out there that did not get a chance to hear you the first time you were on a little while back, give the listeners a little bit of game about who Dr. Janelle is and what she does, and her impact on helping these ladies out here in the universe tonight.
Well, I have my doctorate in counseling, so I really like focusing on building confidence in women. Growing up, a lot of us women are challenged with low self-esteem, and we get, I would call it bullied by family and by friends. Peer pressure is just another form of bullying, telling us what we should look like and act like, and, going through those challenges and overcoming them myself every day. I thought, what better thing, we only go through things in order for us to be able to have a testimony to help someone else. So for my counseling, I focus a lot on building relationships that, individuals and relationships when it's family, friends, co-workers, because we have all types of relationships, and we always need help with that. And I also, from the last time we spoke, I started managing my boys, so I'm a momager now. And so I've been busy with that. My oldest is a singer, actor, and my youngest is a model actor. So I do that. I manage, and
wow.
I'm a thought leader and an influencer. I tell it like it is, but I tell it straightforward to a point where it'll make a mark that cannot be erased. And you'll know that I've told you something out of love, because that's normally when you get upset with me and won't talk to me. But I love you still. So if people want to know the truth like it really is, then they can definitely get a hold of me. If they don't want the truth at first, then probably don't get a hold of me yet. Wait until you're ready.
I heard
that. I have my certificate as an officiant, so I can also marry people and counsel people. So I do a lot. I'm in the process of becoming a spokesperson for a new facial product. So I've been real busy. I just do whatever comes to mind. I love doing business. And I like inspiring women, to know that no matter what, single parent, struggling, you can still fulfill your dreams.
Definitely. That's incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about your upcoming speaking tour that's coming in 2013 that's called Loving Who You Are? I love that title. I think it's so important for people to be able to accept who they are, because there's this huge thing about, you want to be like the next person. It's all about accepting who you are and what you can do and knowing what your gifts are and what you're bringing to the table.
Yes, and that's hard for us, and we think it's just women, but it's even men as well. So the tour will actually be for men and women, and it's a tour that will help people realize that their differences, their uniquenesses aren't bad. That we all are, we hear the cliche that we're all different for, a special reason, or we're all here for something special. But if we don't know that purpose and understand that purpose, then we don't know our worth. And so I will help people understand that what we fight most about ourselves is what we're actually supposed to do and really be. And I help people embrace that and understand that there are no mistakes. We like what we like and do what we do for a reason, good or bad. And I help them dig deep and find out, what's the root of why they need acceptance. Like, why do you need approval? And then I teach them how to not need approval from no one but themselves. Because at the end, it's about what you're supposed to be doing. Because no one will get you in or out of heaven but yourself.
That's right.
And no one will get you to your purpose but yourself. And I just show them that sometimes who we think is supposed to be in our lives aren't supposed to be there. Everything's for but a season sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the tour will be about. Just showing them what self-love is. Showing them that the simplicity of it. That sometimes it's just taking a walk or saying yes for a change. That it can be that simple. Just learning how to say yes to something you want to do, even if the people around you don't approve. Just teaching people how to do that.
Let me ask you this question, and we have Dr. Janelle, our guest on Ladies Night Radio, and she's also brought to you by her website. You can go to www.drjanelle.com for a lot of information in regards to her movement and what she's doing. You remember, Dr. Janelle, when back in the day, it always used to be, okay, the guy used to go out, the mom would stay at home and be the stay-at-home mom, whether there was kids around or not. And it was always, and it seems like as we evolved and as women have evolved, women became more important, not just in the household, but also in the boardrooms and a lot of different places as well. So when you have where women came from back then to how strong that they've become now in 2012, where do you see the evolution of women when it comes to their self-satisfaction? Because to me, I think it's a major accomplishment for a woman to be a doctor, to do a lot of the things that men can do in a sense. So where do you see that mental evolution when it comes to women now going forward as we go into these years?
You mean, are you asking me what do I think even though women are getting these executive positions, has their mentality evolved as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, it depends, because we women have just been inbred into us that we need acceptance from men, when in all reality we only need acceptance from ourselves. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we want to be accepted, and when we're in a position that is dominantly ran by men, if that's not a strong woman, if that female lawyer is not as strong as she can be and who she is, she could let a weak male lawyer make her feel inferior. But if they learn, I think every year the more we have seminars and the more we have books come out and the more we just teach women, you don't even have to be a doctor to encourage a woman to believe in herself. If we can't get men to approve, to have our backs in the industry. Definitely have other women. Like just the women alone, if we would just support one another, our evolution mentally would evolve. Because we are so supportive. Like it's bred into us to be supportive and nurturers. But we got tricked along the way to become enemies of one another. And even if we're in a high position and the other and the males in that same position believe in us, if another female, and she could be a secretary, would come in and say anything negative about that female lawyer or doctor, she would be more affected by her than by if a male would come in. And that's because growing up, daughters have had to fight for the attention with their mothers. Then we get to school and we have to fight for the attention against the popular girls. And, we have always been put against each other. Why don't you look like her? Or, she's skinny or she's tall. Or, men do that and women do that. And, I believe that's the difference with women because both genders are judging us. And men aren't very judgmental with each other, at least not to the point where they would make each other feel bad the way we do. It affects us differently because a man could be, told something negative, but have been taught to go out and just work harder. And women haven't been taught that.
Right.
So I think the more we encourage each other, the better the evolution is. I think we're finally catching up to it. I think we're finally catching up. I think the stronger, now that we have like Hillary Clinton really starting to show who she really is, that's starting to let women see that we can be strong and human. We don't have to be strong and mean. We can still show our feminine fun side. Michelle Obama, she's showing strength. That you can still be a quote-unquote stay-at-home mom but run the show.
Right.
Do what we need to do and speak when we need to speak, but then be a mom when we need to and a wife when we need to. So I think that the more we women fight for our position and we show that we can be strong no matter what, I think the mentality will grow along with it.
I agree. There definitely needs to be more of a sisterhood because there is that whole thing of this catty craziness that we've done, and it's it started since we were children, and it's crazy that some of the same arguments that you had when we were little. Kids, grown women are having those arguments today. I'm like, really? This is the conversation that doesn't happen when That's actually what I was going to bring up next was and see you're going to start a teen reality show.
Well, yeah, the boys and my two boys and I are going to start we're working on a web series reality show about us three because we want to show a positive side to a reality show. Our reality show will actually show what the challenges we have and how we come up with the solutions. And it'll be something that everyone can relate to. The whole idea is to show everyone where we started so that they root for us to get to where we're supposed to go so that everyone can see that it's possible. When most of the people you see on TV have already made it, well, we're going to show them how we're going to make it. And it's not going to be fighting. And when there are disagreements, you guys will see us solve those disagreements in the way a family should solve them. So it'll be very inspiring and encouraging as well as real.
Hey,
I look forward to that one.
So yes, we're going to go into taping not this week but the following week. So we are working on that. It's going to be called Mogul Mom.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep.
I like
to keep you informed.
I like the approach you taking to it because in a world where all we see is so much negative television with quote unquote reality shows, and I've always said they need to just call it improv because there's nothing reality about a show like that. So that was always my type of thing. So when it comes to what you see on TV and trying to educate these young girls out here, we have so many moms that's still in that generation of basically in the 20s, late early 30s in some cases or whatnot, but they're still allowing their young child, their 10, 11, 12, even 13-year-olds still kind of embrace all the chaotic that is reality shows. What do you think about that, and what do you think we need to tell these young women, these little girls growing up to become women, that this is not really real when it comes to TV, even music and other stuff?
Right.
Well, first, I really believe that we should show them behind the scenes because, you know, until I actually got involved in the industry, I had no idea of all the editing. I really don't think people really who aren't, like Joe Blow in Indiana, that has no idea about what goes on behind the camera. That's all the real. That's all the real they know.
Yep.
You know, and unless we educate them, and I mean for real, honestly educate them. Like, remember when we grew up and when Michael Jackson's Thriller came out and we were all scared until the following weekend they showed us the making of it?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, well, we need to really honestly have a show that shows the making of what a reality show deals with. You know, show them what's real, because you know what? I know that a lot of it isn't real, but you know, a lot of it we've seen certain people on certain reality shows act the same way on each episode.
Of course.
So at some point, some of that's real.
Right.
Now, yes, there's editing, and yes, you know, so we need to educate them on what's real and what's not. Show them, like with my boys, when they were younger, I taught them how to decipher what's real and what's not. Okay, if they stay consistent with that, you can't hide the truth for long.
That's right.
So, so if they're good in episode 1 and 2, and then they start acting a fool 3 through 8, then you should probably believe 3 through 8.
Right.
You know, and those are the things we need to show these girls. I think I believe the more we educate them, the more that we show women actually doing things that are outside of that.
I agree.
I know they try to throw that in there. Well, at least when the reality shows first started, they tried showing how they had businesses. But you know, it's masses of people that like that kind of stuff, and that's the mentality. And you know, even the Word of God says, with the poor, you'll have the poor with you always. We're not going to be able to save everybody. We're not going to be able to save every girl. All we can do is put the information out there and hope that we catch them and sow more positive into them than the negative that they're getting at home or from TV or from peers.
My problem that I always have, and Dr. Janelle's our guest on Ladies Night Radio, is the fact that when you do have these reality show women, they're on there, they're doing what they do, and it just seems like it's always a pattern. You get a group of girls together, they go to a bar or they get cocktails, they drink, they got to have these certain types of things on as far as purses, clothes, shoes, etc., and then they're talking about the next female that's not in that circle right now, or that was in that circle or something like that. So, you know, it's kind of what Denai said earlier about cattiness. It's just, you know, all that stuff going on, and they're glorifying it. So, you know, that's the one thing that I've always seen took from not appreciated, because there is more to women than just that. You don't get them doing that. I mean, you know, there is women that actually work. You know what I mean?
Right.
They do 9 to 5s. They are moms.
So true. But you know what? Unfortunately, in this industry, they are catering to the masses, and unfortunately, the masses that are watching that are black women. And if we could get them to stop watching it, then they wouldn't play it.
Right.
But unfortunately, they like what they see because that's what they know, and it's entertaining, and they're showing that even if you act a fool, you still get that Gucci bag and blah, blah, blah. But you know, that's where the education comes in. Okay,
I like to be
like for one, I never knew in one of these videos years ago that the Rolls Royce that was in that video actually was rented from a pastor that I knew.
Yeah.
Well, until you know that, you know, kids don't know that. But and we have to educate them with that. We have to literally figure out how to implement industry. I mean, because social media is so important, and
Right.
and TV is so important in our culture right now. Unfortunately, I know that's not how many people want to see it, but it's true. The same way colleges are implementing social media, we
Right.
need to make classes like that in high school and in middle school.
Yes.
You
And
know,
Denai,
teach them.
Denai, before you ask the question, remember, Dr. Janelle, remember when we used to either see a movie or watch a play, and you seen what we would call props? You know,
Yes.
you would look at certain things and be like, okay, that's a prop. Or even if they
Mhm.
used such and such thing, we knew that was a prop. Sometimes, people didn't have to tell us, but it was just certain things that we kind of knew because, okay, yeah, he's
Right.
not, we see it on TV, but we don't believe it because they're props.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
and I was, but that's because when we were growing up watching that kind of stuff, it wasn't called reality. And I believe that if
I
we would
agree.
have never titled it reality,
Right.
it wouldn't have became people's reality, at least mentally. Like if
I
it would
agree.
have just been for doing, like if we called these shows sitcoms,
Mhm.
no one would want to be like Evelyn. If we
Right.
called this
Right.
sitcoms, no one would want to be like Nene Leakes. But if we're calling them reality, and
Mhm.
because we're using that word reality, that's what kids and even grown women. I'm
Right.
telling you, before I got in the industry, oh my God, I thought that I had no idea that they took that scene of you walking in 7 times because they wanted you to walk in differently. But see, now
Yep.
that I know that, I look at TV differently. I look at commercials
Right.
differently. But that's because I know those things. But before I knew, and I'm grown, I had no idea, and I did think that that was real
Mhm.
because that was the only real that they were showing me. I didn't see the editing. I didn't know that it took them 3 days to get that 30-minute show.
That's right.
So I think we have to educate everybody about it, everybody. Because even if we educate the kids, if they're still getting, bombarded at home by mom and dad or sister or auntie or whoever, it doesn't matter what we're telling them because whatever they
Right.
hear and see most is what they'll believe is their reality.
Mhm.
Very true. Very true. I think what people don't realize, a lot of people, like especially people that watch Bad Girls Club, is that originally Bad Girls Club was supposed to be them evolving into better women. Like that was the whole premise of the show. These girls that were bad and acting the wholeness and that, at the end of the show, they were supposed to have been evolved and learned lessons. Nobody
Right.
shows that anymore. It's just they're fighting and who can stay in the house long enough after they're fighting this and that. Same thing that goes to the real world. Real world used to be real people of all
Yes.
shapes and sizes. There was no formula for the cast.
Yep.
It was just people that came in. They lived in this house together and working together and whatnot. And there was editing, but it wasn't this huge thing for drama because it was already there. They didn't really have to invent it because that
Right.
cast just had that. And so what happened was that now there's a formula for everything, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. That this whole reality TV thing really did come from real world, and
Yes.
that it became this formula, and it just shows just got off and off and off it, and it's insane because now that's what it is. Like MTV and VH1, MTV used to be music television. I have no idea what it is now. They have like music
Yeah.
television for like 4 hours.
Yeah,
That's about
if you
it.
even want to see consistent videos, you have to have the MTV like 20 or something like that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I was. It's interesting how things have definitely evolved and how a lot of people, like I said, adding the word reality on it convinces people that it's really real.
Right.
Right.
Let me ask you this: Do you think with everything going on, because I'm, I'm still growing and trying to understand women and trying to do. I mean, and I say that not jokingly because I really do, because sometimes I feel like I'm starting to understand, and then I have days where it be like, you know what, I still can't figure it out. So as I go through anybody, I mean, it could be a male, female trying to understand another female as well. So when we get to these certain stages in evolution of the way women are, what is the best advice you can give to a man that just wants to understand women, not just if I'm trying to date somebody, or even just trying to be a female, a friend to a female. What's the best advice you can give to a guy?
First, we're trying to understand them, because that's not your job. Your only job, and this can go male, female, to another male, to another female, whatever. Quit trying to understand people and just do what you're supposed to do. And you're supposed to just walk in love and treat them the way you want to be treated. Quit trying to figure out, trying to understand.
Okay.
That ain't your job. Your job is just to be the best you to that person. That's
See,
where
you know what?
all tricks.
That's advice I'm gonna take because I always try because people have personalities.
See how much easier that is.
You,
and in the midst of that, and while you're trying to not figure them out, don't get offended.
okay.
Don't get offended.
Okay.
Don't take it personal. Even if they mean it for personal, don't take it personal, because as long as you know your heart and your intent, it doesn't matter how they're reacting or how they're behaving. So don't try to figure out why they're acting like that. Take all that pressure off yourself. You're putting a lot of pressure on you.
Interesting. Very cool. Okay. See, that's important because that. I mean, I'm keeping it real. Like 34 years old. I'm like, you know what? This is real game right here. Like Doctor Janelle's giving me something that because I'm always, I had that mentality, and I'm pretty sure a lot of men had that mentality. Like, I want to be a peacekeeper, so I want to try to make sure that I know what I need to know enough about your personality to make sure I do what I'm supposed to be doing. But as long as I'm doing the steps of being a good man, a good friend, a good lover, et cetera, then I should be cool.
Yeah, regardless of how they behave, because see, where people mess up is we do things expecting something. Like, for great example, my youngest loves to say, "I love you, Mom," and then he'll look at me and he'll say, "I love you, Mom," and I teach him, don't tell me you love me just to get me to say I love you back. I would rather you say, "Mom, do you love me?" Because see, then you get offended and hurt because I didn't say I love you back. And now you all like, "Oh my God, what's wrong? Does she not love me?" Or just ask what you want to know. Mama, do you love me? Or Mom, I need to be told I'm loved. Okay, Omari, I love you. Instead of, "Mom, I love you." "Mom, I said I love you." "I heard you." But you should say and do things just because that's what you feel you're supposed to do, and then let God pay you back whatever you're supposed to be paid back, not that person you're doing it for or telling it to. And that's where we all slip up. We say we love somebody. I'm not going to tell them I love them because they might not say it back. Well, you know what? You're only supposed to tell them you love them because you love them.
Right.
You need to hear it back. You're supposed to be a good friend because that's what you're supposed to do. And if they're not friendly or don't accept it, oh, well, I just know I was supposed to be a good friend and I did what I was supposed to do. And you either stay or walk away feeling good knowing you did your part. Again, taking pressure off of yourself.
That is good game. That is good game. See, I'm taking all this stuff to heart, so that is definitely appreciative. And with October being Breast Cancer Awareness, I know your advice will definitely reign supreme to a lot of ladies out there, and even men that do want to understand just the aspect of just making sure helping make sure that their wife or their mom or their grandma or whoever is healthy, in a sense like that. So, your thoughts on the awareness of breast cancer and the importance of it for the women out there listening.
It's definitely something. The older we get, and they tell us to do our mammograms at 40, and I think that we should make it earlier than that, because if we know that at 40 is when they normally catch it, why not see if you can catch it earlier than that? But in the meantime, we just there's a few things we can do. Definitely check your breast yourself every month. But we focus a lot on the physical, not realizing that the mental affects us physically more.
Mm.
So even if you're exercising every day, you're eating the right food, everything's organic, oh my God, I don't eat meat, you know how deep we get, but you're worrying every day and you stressing, you can still bring on cancer.
Mm.
So you need to do it all, spirit, soul, and body, not just my body. You know, we got to focus on everything. And you know, when you know that someone in your family has breast cancer, try to eliminate the stress because stress makes everything worse. It brings out the worst in any disease. And we're losing too many awesome women to a disease that we can help cure if by no other reason just giving women more peace of mind. Because women do a lot, and we hold, I know not many people think that women do a lot, but we hold a lot
Mm-hmm.
on our shoulders. And it shouldn't take for a woman to have a disease or a sickness to then be treated to not be stressed.
Right.
We have to love them before the cancer even comes to even help avoid the cancer.
Exactly.
But just you know, continue to eat well and do the physical things, but watch how you're thinking and how you're feeling, and take a break when you need to. Listen to your body and your mind when they're tired and saying, I need a break.
So a lot of it is,
that's the best advice.
a lot of it is more mental, strengthening yourself mentally. You know, like you said, physically, a woman can, you know, be in the best physical shape, but you know, your mental breakdown, your body will break down, and you may not even know your body's broken down, correct?
That's so true. It is so true. We have to really focus on how we're thinking. You know, what we're letting affect us. How quickly, you know, I'm not saying ignore your feelings because we're human. But when those feelings come, acknowledge them, find out the root of it, deal with that root, and then move on. You know, don't let it eat at you. Don't let it fester at you. Speak up for yourself. You know, these are all things that don't hold things in. You know, what would you rather lose someone out of your life or lose your life? You know what I mean? And you have you have to take care of yourself early. Learn what you deserve and what you don't deserve. Learn how you're supposed to feel about yourself and about your life. And when you start, you know, pay attention to the signs. When you start to feel stress come, acknowledge what stressed you. Okay, every time such and such comes around me, I'm stressed. I need to figure out, is that something I want to continue to deal with or not? You know, and then let it go.
Amen. Amen to that. Before we wrap it up, Dr. Janelle is our guest, and you can actually follow her on Twitter if you go on Twitter. Not now, but right now. If you go follow her at Dr. Janelle, DrJeannelle is her Twitter. You can also go to www.drjanelle.com for information. And you know what? If you can do me a favor, when your kids are ready, it's just one child that you have that's doing music, right?
Yes, I do have one that's a singer, yes.
When that person is ready, when that person is ready for you know, getting their music heard and stuff like that or whatever, please bring that person to me so we can be able to help promote and all that good stuff.
I would definitely if he's working on songs right now, when he's ready, I would definitely get him on. We can interview and play the music. So definitely, we appreciate that.
Absolutely. Ms. Denai, you got any more quick questions that you have for Dr. Janelle before we let her go?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, we got you.
Sorry, I got a touchscreen phone, so I didn't even. But thank you so much for coming on tonight. It has definitely been an honor and a privilege to discuss this with you tonight, and I think you said something really, really important. My mom always says to, you know, have that time where you can be depressed, but then do it for a brief second and then move on. You know, don't dwell on it. And that was such great knowledge. So I definitely appreciate meeting you and having this time to talk with you.
You gave me game tonight, Doctor.
I'm glad that I did. I enjoyed coming on. I'm so glad you guys had me back. Anytime.
Well, you know what? Definitely. And, we're getting ready to celebrate 5 years of being on the air next Sunday.
Oh, my
And,
goodness.
yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I thank you for your contributions. And the best thing that we can do is continue to push your grind. That's why I always keep you close to me, email-wise or contact-wise. And I really appreciate the fact that, any time that I call on you, you always hear for me. And I thank you very much.
Definitely. Anytime either one of you need me, y'all, I'm a tweet or an email away. So definitely keep in touch. And I'll be lifting you guys up for another 50 more years.
Amen to that. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Janelle is our guest. Thank you very much, dear. We'll be back at you.
Sweetie.
All right.
Okay.
Take care now.
Bye-bye. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.
Nexxlegacy Radio.